Hi everyone, this is Gina. Welcome to my HDR tutorial. What I like to do is walk you through a series of situations and events that can help lead you to better HDR quality photographs. Right now what I'm showing is my Canon, and what I want to do is give you the opportunity to see how different DSLR cameras can work for HDR. What I usually do is have the camera set to manual mode, and I will select the menu button on my camera, which then brings up many different options. As you can see in this next photograph, I'm showing the AEB highlight for this demonstration. AEB stands for Auto Exposure Bracketing. This is a feature that most advanced cameras that DSLRs usually contain, whether it's film or digital cameras. It's usually something that takes place in the single lens reflex cameras though. This is where the cameras will take several successive shots. Those successive shots can range, shown on this Canon DSLR, -2 to +2. However, I have seen on other cameras that they can range from like -3 to +3 or -4 to +4, depending on the type or style of camera that you possess. Here I have positioned under a -2, a 0, and +2. These are the three stops that I usually position my camera for when I'm taking successive photographs. This helps me pick 3 different photographs without having to change the f-stop value on the camera itself. So all I have to do is just simply push the release button and take the picture. And once I'm done with the first picture, I take the next picture. And while I'm doing that, it'll show up which position it's covering at that time, whether it be a -2, a 0. Actually, the 0 won't show anything on the screen at all, which means it's at its regular consistency, and or a +2. And you can change these positions around. This is usually what I choose, is the -2, the 0, and the +2. Now that we have a good idea on how to use the auto exposure bracketing, what I want to do is get you out in the field, get an idea of where you want the next picture to be taken that you want to use HDR. If you'd like to, maybe even try your backyard to begin with while we're doing this tutorial, so you can get an idea of how to start off on your own. I highly recommend a very sturdy tripod. You never know what the wind conditions are going to be, and the situation can cause for camera shake, and camera shake will lead to a poor HDR quality photo. Okay, let's say that you've already gone out in your backyard, or you found a place that you took some successive photos that you really appreciate. What I have here shown in the screen is called Photomatics. Now, Photomatics I find is one of the best programs. That's just user preference. I have also attempted to use Photoshop and a couple other HDR programs, and I found this one to give me like the best quality photos. So what you'll do to open up those photographs is go into the File menu and click on the file and click on Browse. Once you've clicked on Browse, you'll find the 3 photos that you had just recently taken that you want to merge as an HDR photo. I usually choose the 32-bit HDR image sequence just out of preference. It doesn't mean you have to. It's just for an extra color range. And on here, I'll usually check all the boxes, including the ghosting. You never know if your camera is set up and you have somebody walking in front of it, which can cause a very skewed picture. And taking the ghosting out usually helps, you know, the program run a little smoother, give you a more clearer shot with an HDR photograph. Right now we're just waiting for this program to run its course. In the meantime, what I'll do is I'll just explain to you how this will work. You first see the merged photos pop up. They'll seem rather dark and dismal and dreary. Don't think that that's going to be your finished product, because your finished product will show more along the lines of what you're really looking for, and we'll be choosing from the tone mapping box that's not highlighted yet, but once this is processed, it will become a choice that you can click on. So right now we're just kind of waiting and waiting, and finally we have our image. And like I was saying, the tone mapping did pop up just as I expected, and you can see in the top here that all the photos have been merged and they're separated by underscores. So click on the tone mapping, and all of a sudden you see that in this corner we have actually a graph that shows all our colors and how many colors we have in it. It looks like we have quite a bit of green, quite a bit of red, and not too much blue. So just kind of like push that to the side for now, and you can use this for every single choice that you make on the side here. However, I kind of can tell by looking at it how much color's in it, and we'll show you later on how you're going to use that little scale to help you. See, as we have here, there's more red in this choice and a little less green and barely any blue. And you can see all the different HDR images that you can choose. I find this one has probably about the equal amount of blue as it does red. Well, maybe no, a little less. And here again, a little more red, about the same amount of green, and a little less blue. A little more red, a little less green. I think this image is probably going to be a choice. So you pick on the image that you like, and you kind of let it process. And that's what you do, is you click process once you find the image that you do like. And while you're waiting, I'll just let you know that once it pops up in the top, yep, there it is, in the right hand corner, you'll see that there is a area you can make corrections to the colors on. And obviously you see there's a lot of orange in here, and still probably a lot of reds. I know that the scale didn't show orange on there, but we know there's pretty much a lot of orange and yellows. So I usually bring it down a little bit, try to lighten it up a little more and make the light a little more clear. And I'll do this with the orange as well. Bring it down just a little bit. And it don't look like any of the other colors I need to adjust too much. So then I just pretty much wait that out, and once I am done, I click on save. We want to save this. Usually save it as a TIFF file. I think the highest number TIFF file is good for the HDR because this has the most color, the most resolution. This makes a clear image if you want to print it later on. And then just save the name. And you can look at the other stuff, but I'm not too worried about that. Okay, so with that, now that we've processed our image through Photomatix, we want to be able to move on into Photoshop. Now Photoshop is where we're going to actually be doing some other edits with the photograph and take out distortions. Now that we're in Photoshop, we want to choose the files that we had originally started with. We do not want to choose the HDR as we had originally ended with for the Photomatix. So we'll probably take one of the lower end photos and just open that. Once we're done opening that, you'll see that it's positioned here with a lock symbol. We want to then open a file, and we're going to copy and paste all our other photos, including the HDR image. So we don't want our HDR image to be the first photo that is brought over there. We want that to be our last. And we also want to make sure this is all lined up. Not having it lined up will cause the photo to not be clear and will be distorted as well. So we're sending all those over. Now we gotta look for our HDR, and we'll send that over. And we found it. I know this is a different HDR image that I had picked from the original one, but I kind of like this one because it shows where and how we want to, change some of the stuff in the background. So we resize this and fit it to the original layers underneath and place it by double clicking. Once it's placed, you realize that it's on the top of the list. It's the first one that you actually see, and the bottom one is your original layer. So what we want to do is we want to start changing what's going on here. You might have to double click the picture once more to rasterize the surface so we can start erasing, because you'll see that we have this little symbol here. Yeah, there we go. And now we want to, well, yeah, I'm going to zoom in because it's kind of hard to see. Now take your eraser tool. Yeah, we're just repositioning that. And start moving it around. And as you notice, and the more you move it around, you'll notice that this other layer is appearing. And that is the layer that is underneath the top layer. And you want to mark the eyes off of the two bottom layers. So see, this is when I remove that layer that's underneath, it becomes transparent. And keep doing this. I like to move stuff around a lot. It just helps me have a better work area. And you can do the same with your program. I find this works best for me. You're going to want to continue to edit your photo. As you go, you will merge the first two layers as merge visible. You'll look under layer and merge visible, and then you'll mark the next layer with the eye. You'll open the eye back up, and continue this process and work your way down. You'll keep working your way down until you only have one photo left. At that point, you pretty much save your file and you have your finished product. Rather easy as long as you know how to use Photoshop. If you're not too good with Photoshop, you may want to check out some tutorials right on YouTube. There's many out there that actually help. I know they helped me. And enjoy your HDR image.